Hey, YouTube family, it's time for the curls, the scoop, little music history lesson. We got it all. It's like a good bowl of gumbo. I'm Patty Jackson. I am your auntie of pop culture. Are you guys ready? Come on, let's do the hug. Let's do. I have a shirt that keeps grabbing onto the chair. You ever put on something and then say, how come I don't wear this? I realized quickly when I sat in this chair, it's like these great big sleeves. This damn thing getting caught in the chair. We won't be wearing this again. Are you ready for the curls and the scoop? I'm Patty Jackson, your auntie of pop culture. We're going to take this time to remember singer Bobby Caldwell. Passed away last night at the age of 71. It was in 1978 that he topped the charts with this song, What You Won't Do for Love. Back then, just like they did with Tina Marie, you didn't know what they looked like on the cover because he was a white, soul singer, but they didn't want nobody to know he was white. A lot of people found out today he was white. Yeah. He and Tina Marie, they wanted you to hear the music, and the music you heard. To this day, What You Won't Do for Love is still a staple on most, as they call urban adult radio stations, black radio stations that play towards adult, and it still sounds great. He had the song Open Your Eyes, I believe Biggie, was it Biggie or Common? Both of them. There was so much sampling for that song, Open Your Eyes. Then he had the song The Flame. Then it was something about I Keep Falling. It was some record I used to play back in the day. Anywho, he had some great songs. He later toured on the jazz circuit. I didn't get my driver's license till I turned 25. And on that day, because I was like, I got my license. Bobby Caldwell was at the radio station. So the record rep said, we're going to take you to dinner. And we went to this Italian place in Center City, Philadelphia. And it was just such a fun dinner. And Bobby Caldwell was such an amazingly nice man. The past few years have not been kind. He has suffered. He had what you call a bad reaction to antibiotics, and it left him crippled. Neuropathy so bad he couldn't walk. His upper body, he was kind of like he was paralyzed. Could not perform anymore and could not sing, in a tremendous amount of pain for almost 7 years. When the story first came out, they didn't want nobody to know that he was not well. And finally, they had to admit that the singer was not doing well. He was 71 years old. He brought soul and he had some great music. But rest in peace to an amazing man, singer Bobby Caldwell. Had the chance to catch up with Jill Scott last night. She is currently on tour. She's doing a 3-night residency in Philadelphia at the Met. And she's so excited about being, going on tour, coming out of the pandemic. And she looks good and everything is great. She's got a Blues Babe Foundation. And I caught up with her at a fundraiser where she has a Jill Scott camp where she helps children in North Philly go to camp for free. She also helps kids be able to stay in school. Sometimes you can get the tuition, but you can't afford the books, or you can't afford the meal cards. How do you really survive in school? Well, her Blues Babe Foundation makes it possible. So there was a fundraiser for that, and she's gearing up, but Jill is doing very well. Gill was the woman who led me on my dental journey. Her mom was a hygienist, and she knew immediately that I was suffering from gum disease. And it was so funny because years later she says, when I mentioned that to you, I thought you'd never speak to me again. And I said, girl, you saved my life. And she did. She saved my life. I'm forever in debt to a Jill Scott for loving me enough. And it wasn't like we were girls or we hung out back then, but she said, I just grew up listening to you, and I love you, and I just want the best for you. And I do. I love Jill Scott. I've had some great conversations this week. New edition. Okay, we're going to start with Johnny Gill. I told you yesterday because it's his big show. They're on tour, the Legacy Tour. It's coming to a city near you. Well, they're going to be in my neck of the woods in Atlantic City. I talked to Johnny. Johnny lost 30 pounds. He said, we got to do this tour. I got to lose some weight. Today, I talked to Michael Bibbins, Ronnie DeVoe, and he says, yes, the tour is physical. It's a whole new show from the Culture Tour. The legacy is something different. Of course, they got Keith Sweat, and they got all the original members of Guy, and they got Tank all buttoned up. But how they changed some things in the show, and it's been 40 years for them. 40 years, New Edition has been in the music business. I also talked to Bobby Brown, and every time I've interviewed this man, it's just been funny conversation. From when he wrote in the book that he was sleeping with ghosts, and then how Chris Rock said, you may date a lot of men, but you never tell them about the time you may have messed with Bobby Brown. Bobby, for all the tragedy, he's still a lot of fun. And I didn't realize he's the youngest member of New Edition. And I said, how you keeping up with them steps? And he said, Patty, it's tough. And I'm the youngest member of New Edition. Well, Bobby Brown has a line of sauces, barbecue sauces and spices. And coming later this year, the Bobby Brown coffee. He's doing really good with his little food business. He really is. And Bobby Brown coffee is coming. I love the guys. I've known them from the beginning, but it was so good having a chance to chat with them. If that legacy tour comes to a city near you, go, run, get your tickets. It's just great entertainment. Keith Sweat, Tank, all the original members of Guy, because you never wanted to catch the fake guy. There was a fake Guy group, and it was like, who are these people up here? But it's all the original members, Aaron, Damian, and Teddy. But it was good talking to the guys. Good news for Michael Irvin, the former NFL Dallas Cowboys. He was humiliated during Super Bowl week. He was down in Arizona to cover it for the NFL Network, and some woman claimed he said something to her, and the NFL Network yanked him off the air. He fought it, and they brought out the tape, and he did nothing wrong. He is suing them for $100 million, and he should, because it was humiliation. Yes, he's had a reputation as a bad guy, and he's had his share, but it was not this time. Not this time. And what they did to Michael Irvin was wrong. He is suing them for defamation, and he should. And NFL Network, shame on you for not getting the facts before you go and pull him off the air. Because he was down there to cover the Super Bowl. He had already started doing interviews. And he was like the plug. He could get interviews with anybody. They yanked him off the air. Michael, sue him. Usher. This on my bucket list. I got to get to Vegas. I want to see Usher in Vegas. Maybe next year, because airfares are crazy. Usher is in Vegas. They're calling him the King of Vegas. Well, there's a roller skating thing during the show. Well, one of the dancers bumped into him, and he fell. She got fired. Don't bump into Usher. Gary Owens, the comedian, his ex-wife is talking, and she says she has been left financially ruined after their divorce. They have 2 grown kids, and they were married for many years. But Gary Owens has moved on, found himself another sister, and now they're having twins. Jussie Smollett, a lot of you asked where to find it. It's on Fox Nation. Or go to YouTube. And type in, I don't know, Fox Nation, Jussie Smollett hoax. The African brothers, they start acting out like what allegedly happened. Fox Nation, it airs. It's a new docuseries on Jussie Smollett and the alleged hoax. Congratulations, Al Roker. He's a grandfather. His daughter Courtney is expecting her first child. He's a first-time granddad. So big congratulations to Al Roker. The Presley family is on the cover of the New People magazine. Told you Priscilla Presley locked out of Graceland, fighting with Lisa Marie Presley's oldest daughter, Riley. Riley is an established actress. She's in Daisy Jones and the Six on the Prime Video, loosely based on Fleetwood Mac. $35 million in the Graceland estate is up for grabs. Lisa Marie Presley died earlier this year, and she didn't leave anything for her mom, and she left her mom out of the will. Priscilla Presley is fighting this, and now she's joining forces with Lisa Marie Presley's ex-husband, who is the father of her twin daughters, and they want to go up against Riley. Now, the teenagers probably don't know what's going on, but there is a fight over this money, and Riley, good luck, because I guess Priscilla wants to bully her to get this money. But it just shows you what could go wrong, how money can tear apart a family. And it has torn apart the Presley family for years. Y'all know I am a documentary nut. And there's one coming out about Little Richard. Little Richard, I Am Everything. It's going to be in theaters for one weekend on April 21st. Then it's going to start streaming. Did you know that a black queer man started rock and roll? Little Richard, king of rock and roll. There was a reason why. He said, I'm the king of rock and roll. I'm the architect. So many people stole from him. In the 50s, there had been nothing like a Little Richard. He was black, he was queer, he had them wigs, stylish outfits, and he was a performer. Whether he was playing the guitar, on that piano, he gave you a show. But no one quite knew what to do with him, because it was like, who is this? Little Richard was a force of nature by himself, and everybody copied him. From Elvis, Pat Boone. The Pat Boone, Tutti Frutti, when Little Richard did that, it was a rousing rock and roll song, and the Pat Boone version is so corny, but they ripped him off. They did his music and got the fame and got the money. Little Richard it made him bitter. I mean, you think of where Little Richard was. Well, where do you think that James Brown got that flair? And Michael Jackson. Jimi Hendrix, greatest guitar player ever. He played for Little Richard. When you think of a Mick Jagger who's on this documentary, where do you think he got that swagger from? Learning how to be that performer, because Little Richard was a performer. But, people are like, this black queer man, they're ruining our children, this music. So they came out with these tame versions of his song. A lot of people thought that he was really bitter, and he was, because he never got the money or the due. When he did start getting some credit, and they were shining the spotlight on him, he changed his life. Little Richard, he turned his back on rock and roll. He turned his back on homosexuality. He became a preacher. Little Richard really became Richard Penniman. I met him before the change. In California, the station had sent me out to cover the Oscars, and I interviewed him. And I just couldn't he had so much makeup on, and I couldn't tell him, like, it's not matching. Your foundation is not matching. But he was very nice. But I interviewed him during the bitter time, where he's like, I'm the architect of rock and roll. They stole from me. This documentary features Billy Porter. It features Mick Jagger, Tom Jones. These performers, and you wonder, like, where they get it from. The likes of a Little Richard, who was an anomaly and so misunderstood. And people were afraid because he was so bold. I'm going to let y'all know what channel it's going to be streaming on. But I said, I'll be the first one there. But the trailer is out. Little Richard, I Am Everything. Can't wait to see this, because he's such a footnote in our music. And a lot of artists stole. And something about the Elvis movie, they admit that he would see these black artists. All Elvis did was just imitate, and he got the fame. But in the movie, he gives credit, like, yes, I watched these performers and I came in and did it my way. I'm a documentary freak, and when I grow up, I'm going to be a music historian. That's what I've decided. Now, you're probably saying, you're damn near 60, Auntie. When you going to grow up? Probably never. What's next for the Oscar winners? Michelle Yeoh and Ke-Huy Quan. They're coming to Disney Plus May 24th, just in time for the Memorial Day weekend for American-Born Chinese, an action series. Leave a comment, because Auntie reads the comments. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video, and subscribe to the channel, because you don't know what you'll get. Some days it's just silliness and curls. Some days it's music knowledge and curls. It's just, the curls will be here. The other stuff we'll put in like gumbo. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate you guys. I'm Patty Jackson. I am your auntie of pop culture.